Hi everyone, and welcome to the IPR Podcast. This is where we talk about payments and remittances. What's changing, what's coming next, and what it means for you. I'm Natalie Perkins, Marketing Manager at Remit1. And in Remittance, we talk a lot about growth. So new corridors, new partnerships, new customers. But the pressure sometimes comes elsewhere, and that's loyalty. Customers switch quickly, sometimes for tiny differences in price or speed. And most firms think they can understand their customers. But do they really? How do you spot churn before it happens? How do you segment customers properly? And how do you actually act on that insight in time? So that's what we're going to be digging into today. I'm joined by Dr Senaka Fernando. Senaka is a technology leader with more than 20 years' experience in data strategy and digital transformation. He's the Managing Director of Bars and Lines and has advised organisations including Lloyds, Barclays, British Airways and HMRC, all helping them build smarter, more scalable systems. So Senaka, it's great to have you with us today. Thanks for joining. So Senaka, let's just get straight into it then. Mm-hmm. So why would you say loyalty is harder to maintain in remittance?
It can be very hard for like a money transfer organization, a money transfer business to maintain a bunch of loyal customers. Like, for example, let's consider I am going to move money from one country to another country. Mm-hmm. I have plenty of choice, plenty of options available to me, right? So, and it's the second point that makes it harder for a money transfer business is I, as the consumer, can very easily switch among these various providers. I can compare and contrast. I can try to understand what is the best offer for me. Do I even really have a benefit of being loyal in this context? Because at the end of the day, me and most of the consumers who want to move currency, right, are actually going to be very price sensitive, mm-hmm. right? I am trying to get the best offer out there. And then I have lots of options. It's very easy to switch between, providers of this service. Why would I need to be loyal? So that's how I see it from a consumer standpoint. And that is the problem for the MTO.
Yeah. So that's kind of from the consumer's angle is, the availability of different providers and so easy to switch from one to the other. So if we think about it from like the MTO's standpoint and understanding their customers, do you think that MTOs really are aware of that? And do you think that they fully understand their customers at the moment?
My view, I'm not saying that the MTOs don't understand their customers, right? But there is a point to be made, and I think this is going to be something that we're going to talk further today, is that there is a lot more that like an MTO can do to understand their customer better. So it's not about understanding your customer, it's about understanding your customer better. Mm-hmm. So it could be kind of making a promotion. It could be preventing churn. It could be kind of, getting your customer from one tier of loyalty to another tier of loyalty, right? But you cannot just go and offer the same thing to everybody. Mm-hmm. You need to know precisely which customer, which segment will be interested in that promotion, who will be convinced with what you're trying to say. And sometimes you cannot kind of take, days or weeks to decide on things like this. Yeah. It has to be instantaneous. Someone is trying to make a decision whether they would like to go ahead with you or your competitor. At that very point in time, you should be able to react. So it's not about do you know your customers? It's about do you know your customers well? Can you do more to know them better? And can you know about them fast?
Yeah.
And that's what reduces churn and makes customers more loyal.
Mm-hmm. And once you have that data then and you can properly segment your customers and you fully understand them, what fundamentally changed? How does that change how you run your business? If you've got the visibility, mm-hmm. What can you do with that?
Right. So as with any industry, right, in order to retain customers, in order to acquire customers, you will have to invest in some form of marketing, some form of promotions, or you will be reducing your gain and kind of convincing someone to go ahead with you in one way or the other. So having that insight about where to make your investment is very important for an MTO, right? Most organizations have an abundance of data. So there is data that they have internally about their customers. The transactional platforms like Remittance, for example, has lots of information about customers and similar customers, for example, right? But there is also data that is available outside of your business on the internet. Yes, on the internet.
Yeah.
So can you leverage all of these data sources at speed to create those segments and promote the kinds of offers that you're willing to give to those segments, and then get them to be more loyal or get them convinced that to move more currency, something like that. So those are the things that are most interesting for MTOs. But at the same time, you could try all of these things, but you'll be spending a lot of time, you'll be spending a lot of money. So what we are talking about here with artificial intelligence in the tools that we are building is about making all of that work at scale, but faster and cheaper. AI is not expensive. AI is cheap. It's just about understanding how to use it.
Yeah, yeah. And what about like the predictive side of it as well? You've got this abundance of data. Do you want to just mention a little bit about the prediction side of it?
Absolutely. So the ability to know something before it happens is very important in the remittance industry. Because when you make an offer available or when you start promoting something, when you run a loyalty focused campaign or whatsoever, you need to understand how that segment will react to what you want to do. So there are two parts to it. I think first of all, identifying those segments. So you can use different kinds of mechanisms to build those segments and so on and so forth. You know your business more than anyone else. Like if you're an MTO, you've been working with your customer base for years, right? Sometimes, right? You know them very well. You understand the nuances and the subtle details with regards to how people behave in that specific corridor and so on and so forth. So the ability to instruct the tool just by talking to it, right? In English or any other language for that purpose, right? You can write your prompts in AI in any language. So you don't even need to know English, you don't need to know coding, you don't need to know anything. You can just talk to it, ask a question, and then obtain the precise segment that you want. And then you can kind of forecast what kind of incentive is necessary to make that segment more loyal.
Yeah.
Right? That is kind of power at your hands. That is the kind of thing that we are doing with the tools that we have.
Yeah, and that's where the AI actually becomes really like commercially impactful, doesn't it? So, predicting like likely churners. Is there anything else that helps with like the commercial impact of the AI? Like, what else, as well as predicting likely churners, what else would there be?
The commercial impact, I think, so being able to predict the customers who might churn is important so that you can go and promote to them and kind of target them, right? That's very important. Also, being able to understand your most loyal customer base and then make them even more loyal is very important. One of the things that we've been focusing with our tools is to kind of grade your customer base based on loyalty segments, right? And then try to understand which segment is most likely to go from their current tier to the next tier. So you can make the right kind of investment where you will get the higher ROI on your promotions, on your campaigns, and so on and so forth. So that's an interesting aspect as well. So not just about preventing people leaving you, but making your most loyal customers even more loyal, right? That side of it. The other thing, the third most important thing, I think, is being able to leverage all these kinds of data and all the tools that we have, because AI is not just about forecasting or querying data or giving you access to that breadth. It's also about connecting different tools together. So, for example, let's assume I have a segment and for an email marketing campaign. If I need to spend time to load that into an email marketing platform, design the graphics, send out those emails, monitor what's coming after that, and so on and so forth. There was one MTO who is one of our customers, right, that I spoke with. And the way they prevent churn partly is by giving phone calls. So there might be one person actually calling someone and trying to promote something over the phone, right? So how long would that take, literally, to get to that kind of scale, right? If you're doing something like that. So with AI and the kind of integration capabilities that you get, you are reducing that amount of manual effort.
Yeah.
And those people who are responsible for making those phone calls, creating those email marketing campaigns, right? Observing performance of these campaigns and so on and so forth. Now they can do more interesting things than what they used to be doing.
Yeah.
So they can be more productive and they can have more focus. They can optimize your campaigns better. Obviously, more results.
Yeah, I mean, that example is very resource heavy, isn't it? Getting someone to make those phone calls. And other marketing teams might just do more of a blanket approach because they don't have the insight on the segments. But I think we've known in marketing for a long time, it's about hitting the right the right customers with the right message at the right time. And what you're sort of explaining is, AI makes it possible and in a faster way. So I think that kind of leads on to my next question, which is why the speed of the reaction kind of matters. And, why what we're doing right now currently isn't enough.
So there's this side of it. One of the false impressions that you get with when you do marketing is that some marketing is always better than no marketing, right? So the moment you start promoting something, the moment you start running some campaigns, you will see some results. The question is that the most optimum result that you can get? And sometimes you also might want to do some things at speed, right? Reaction speed is very important in marketing because the moment someone gets interested in something, you need to have sort of that process that kind of follows through, gets them to do what you wanted them to do. So getting someone super excited about the promotion or the rates that you have and so on and so forth at the wrong time doesn't mean they're going to move money.
Yeah.
It's highly likely that they will remember it, but they might not take any action at all.
Yeah.
But just imagine that they were browsing, options and kind of window shopping on the internet, right? Trying to understand what is the best, remittance provider for this corridor to move money from A to B. If you got your offer in exactly at that point in time, that is when they're most likely to react to it, right? So speed is very important. And it's not about just being fast when you run your campaign. It's about being able to run these campaigns at speed 24/7 at any point in time.
Yeah.
So you might be thinking, right, okay, how do I do that? Such a lot of automation. Do I really need to have staff 24/7 to run this and follow through how is it going to really work? That's the beauty of these automations and integrations that you get. You can scale your business to be available as and when your customer wanted it to be.
Yeah, that's it. And more sort of practically on how it kind of works. I know you mentioned to me about the AI kind of sitting in the middle and connecting with lots of different tools and marketing tools to do that. So yeah, could you just explain a little bit more about that side of things?
Yeah, so marketing in 2026 is not just about you go and filling out an email and copying that 100 times and then sending it out to 100 people, right? This happens to a series of tools. You load audiences, you segment your audiences, you schedule what kinds of messaging goes out to those segments, you design the graphics, you personalize it, right? You try to address people, if possible, by their name. You try to be like their best friend, sort of, when you send out some sort of marketing. It's not just about emails, right? It's about any kind of marketing in this sense, right? It can be an SMS, it can be a message that gets sent out to a segment, something like that. It can even be a printed advert that you're designing for your segment, right? Everything is marketing these days. And all of these things are done through software. Not everyone might have, familiarity with these things. And historically, some of these software were inaccessible. But nowadays, with AI, it's not just you, like as an MTO, using AI. Even the marketing tools have now gone from, let's say, 100 to 100,000, right? There are lots of options out there because AI not just enables you, it enables your supply chain as well at the same time. So how would you leverage all of those capabilities to your benefit? And that is another thing AI can help you with, because automation is something AI, like agentic AI, essentially enables. So you can have AI agents connecting 10, 20 different systems without incurring significant costs to give you the best kind of outcome.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think with all that in mind, like if you're listening to this podcast now as an MTO and you're like maybe a smaller company or even a medium-sized company, where do you think that, where would you advise them to start?
Since we are talking today predominantly about loyalty and, preventing churn and so on and so forth, I would recommend that you should start focusing on how would you kind of understand your customer? How would you segment them, right? What kind of, immediate gains would you be having by knowing more about your customer? What are the things that you don't do? Because loyalty is great, but are you using that concept of loyalty across multiple channels? How many channels are available to you? There are like print channels, there are email channels, there are like,
messaging,
LinkedIn. You need to understand what is most convenient for your customer and where they would notice sort of your messaging, right? So being open to that and the ability to have models and to kind of, forecast the impact of these initiatives that you take. So these are very interesting as well. So for a small or medium business, this might sound like complexity. Where do I start? I can't be trying 100 different things and I just only have a limited amount of time, right? I have a limited amount of people and I already have a lot of things going. And so I would suggest that they look at, building those segments, using those data, starting with some small campaign, right? Starting with some small like AI-driven campaign, try something out, build that confidence, because the barrier to entry for AI, especially what we're offering, right, is very low. People might think this is complicated tech, this is very expensive. No, it's not real, right? These things are available at very reasonable price points, right? And so it's very easy to adapt and understand the benefit. Once you are convinced with one initiative, then you can go to 10 initiatives. And like that, you can scale, and you can scale fast.
Yeah, exactly. And are these capabilities kind of available today? And especially for our customers listening?
Absolutely.
Customers, yeah.
Yeah, so we got tools that are already running. We got people who are interested and sort of using them. We would like to speak to anyone else who is interested in these things, show them how they work. I think the most important thing is to sort of have those conversations and prove that this actually can do works. Because it's for an MTO, it's all about being convinced that AI is the real deal.
Yeah.
So it's about, for an MTO, it's about taking that first step.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you, Senaka. So to summarise today's episode, loyalty isn't a campaign, it's actually a system, and understanding your customers is just the starting point. Acting on that and understanding quickly is what protects margin, and AI doesn't replace the strategy, it strengthens execution. So if you'd like to see these capabilities in practice, do get in touch with us and book a demo with our team. And if you found the conversation useful today, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Thanks for listening.